Hey everyone, so today's video is a Q&A. A couple weeks ago, I asked for some questions over on the community tab and in a video. So these are all the questions from that. We're gonna dive into these and y'all, I like to print them out and I printed them out this morning and one page would not print. I was having some technical difficulties and I was like, okay, all right, it's not that big of a deal. I'll read the first page from the laptop. And then literally as I sat down to get ready to film the video, I heard the printer deciding to work. So yay for modern technology and working sometimes. I'm not good with technology, like at all. I have like my own way of doing things and it's not always the easiest way, just saying. Okay, so we're gonna dive into the questions that you guys have asked me. And a lot of these are really good. So this is gonna be a good, deep Q&A. All right, so the first question is, I would like to know all about the new co-op and any school plans that I'd like to share. She's also a homeschooler to 8 children, so that is awesome. All right, Rachel. So I did mention in a previous video that we are switching co-ops. I will also be filming a curriculum video. And now that I'm saying this out loud, I've got to remember to do that. I haven't ordered our curriculum yet. I was hoping that I would do it earlier in this before school started. I don't think it's gonna happen. Anyways, I always have the best laid plans and life happens. So you know that saying, man plans and God laughs. So yeah, anyways, I haven't finished ordering our curriculum yet. So let me just answer your question. So we are switching co-ops. It is a new co-op. For the sake of explaining it, so it is called a homeschool co-op, but I would like to describe it as a cottage school. So we actually will be meeting 2 days a week. This is going to be a pretty big adjustment for our family, but I think it's going to be a very good thing. So it is also an academic co-op and it has electives as well. So all of the kids' instruction for everything except for math. So science, history, grammar, writing, public speaking, they will be getting at co-op. They also will be having art. And then our homeschool will be based off of those classes and the homework that they are given. So then at home, so they are getting the instruction from their teacher. And then at home, I will be helping them with the homework that they have to turn in the following week. So I like to describe it as a cottage school because I feel like it's a little bit more than a co-op, but so we found out about this group through a friend, and actually a lot of other friends are joining too. So that's super exciting for us. And just the things that I've heard about it and have learned, it really seems very well done. And we are excited. So then the second day of the week, you don't have to do this, is electives. So then the kids will go and they can choose anywhere from 1 to 3 electives. So it's for 3 hours on Thursdays from 9 a.m. till noon. And they can choose anything from sewing, embroidery, guitar, drums. High schoolers can get a foreign language, which is accredited. So most colleges want a foreign language and it needs to be accredited. There is no program that I can do at home for that foreign language to be accredited. So it would have to be an online class like through our county, through the school system, but this program actually offers it. So I was very happy to see that. And then I'm trying to think of what else electives I saw. We haven't chosen our electives yet. Gardening, I think, is one. Baking and cooking is one. So honestly, it's gonna be hard to choose because there's so many electives that my kids are gonna wanna do a lot. The other thing that I really like about it is, so I have 9 kids that will be doing this co-op. I can bring all of them to one place, 1 day a week, and all of them can choose up to 3 activities and get it, versus me running all over the place and doing all these different things. And honestly, like I would love to do more, but time and logistics really plays into that as far as like doing other outside activities and stuff. So our kids do sports and Harper does ballet. We've done piano lessons and drum lessons over the years too, but they haven't been doing those for a little over a year now. Anyways, it's just going to be a really good thing. So I'm excited about it. I feel like it's going to really help our homeschool at home too. Homeschooling, like you said, you have 8 kids. It's a lot to keep up with many kids. And We do a 1 day a week tutoring just to help take a little load off of me. So I just think that this is going to really help take a load and give the kids what they need. So we are pretty excited about the change. So that is the new co-op. And like I said, I will be sharing the curriculums. So there's like pros and cons to it, okay? So all those are the pros that I mentioned to you. The cons is I'm not choosing our curriculum, which honestly, I really had to think about because I like to do my own thing, but I'm willing to try because I just think that the pros far outweigh the cons as far as like choosing my own thing. I still could do totally the unit studies and whatever else that I wanted to as a family, but meaning like the grammar curriculum and all of that. But so I think it's going to be good. So that is that's the big change. Like it's going to be a pretty big change. So we will be gone all day on Tuesday and half the day on Thursday. But again, I just think it's what our family needs right now. Okay, so the next question is, are you going to plant any fruit trees? So yes, actually we have planted some. I planted a peach tree and 2 mulberry trees. And how many blueberry bushes did I do? I think I did 4. But I wouldn't say the blueberry bushes are doing fabulous. Fruit trees, bushes tend to take, 2 to 3 years to produce fruit. I know some people who have massive blueberry bushes in their yard, and I mean, they're, like 20 years old, and they produce a ton of fruit. But I've also heard that you really should keep them in pots as far as blueberries go. And I did not do that. I planted them in the ground. So it's going to be a touch and go with blueberries. We will see. We did actually plant 2 weeping willow trees. And I planted, I believe it's called the swamp dogwood. It is a Florida native plant that gets pretty big. But we do want to plant some more, definitely more fruit trees. I really want to make a goal next year of doing a strawberry patch. I wanted to do that this year, and I didn't. So, I mean, we have strawberries in our green stalks, but I really want, so strawberries are perennial and they will produce runners. So I really just want an area that can take over. So I'm hoping to establish that next year. So yes, we have planted some fruit trees, definitely have plans for more. I would love to do some citrus, apple. I would love to do more peaches. We just did one. I'm trying to think of what else. I have an elderberry tree. I would love to do at least one more elderberry. I don't know, I want to do all the things. Avocado would be really nice. Yeah, so definitely plans. They're a little bit pricier to purchase, so we will just do them, as we have the extra funds to put into that. So that's partly why we didn't do a ton, because we were building all of the garden that we built this year. But again, that is the first year, so we have goals for next year. I say we. I have goals for next year. Nathan's like, just give me the list. And it's going to take a few years to get there. So probably add 1 or 2 fruit trees a year or something. So, okay. So then the next question is, why so much sponsored content lately? So it has been a lot, and it's been a lot like on my end too, as far as like managing it and doing it. It really, honestly, I did not intend for that to happen. And I wrestled with it once I realized like how much it was. I was like, oh my goodness, this isn't going to be good. Because I get people don't necessarily like having a bunch of content or like commercials in the videos. But the truth is, like, it is a good, like, it's a perk to doing YouTube. And I think of it as, I still don't really think of YouTube as a job. With that said, it is, because I do make money off of it, but it is something more out of a hobby than just for finances, if that makes sense. But it is a perk, and I kind of think of it as like someone who travels a lot for work, so they earn frequent flyer miles, or like car rentals, like they earn those rewards, like the hotel points and stuff, because they travel a lot for their job, right? So doing sponsored videos with YouTube is kind of a perk, and it was a lot. It really was. And they were just good opportunities for us. Some of them did pay me, and if I'm being 100% honest, revenue went down with YouTube. I still don't quite understand what happened. Remember I said I wasn't a techie person, and I also just don't have the time to like super invest and pour a lot of time into that. I've tried like looking into it, but I didn't find any answers basically. So it kind of helps supplement that. And I was like, well, this would be good. And we have some things to pay for. And I was like, well, I had never done like a dedicated paid video before. And I was like, well, this would be beneficial, for our family. So I do thank you for your support and just watching the videos and commenting. It really does help a lot. And I've done, videos where I've gotten things, here and there, but this season it was a lot. And then I also want to share, some of them were really, I just felt like were from God. So the gazebo, for example, I have had this dream for my garden, the layout for honestly a couple years now. And so building, starting to build that this year, one of those was very exciting to me. One of the things that I wanted with the garden was a sitting pavilion in the center of the garden. And I had told Nathan this, and really it was going to be a simple thing, 4 posts and a roof. Like I didn't even necessarily want like a deck underneath it. It would have been nice, but also just being practical of expenses and how much it would cost to build and all of that. And so the sitting pavilion. So I left a spot for that sitting pavilion when we're starting to build this garden. And I will just be honest, I had doubt, like, should I just not leave a spot for it? Are we even going to be able to build it? Those types of things. I'm like, no, I'm going to leave a spot for it. Even if it's 2-3 years down the road, 4 years down the road, one day I will have a sitting pavilion. I really wanted it this year, but trying to be patient, those things. And I got that email about the gazebo, and I just really felt like it was a gift from the Lord. Like I call them God kiss moments, where I just felt it in my spirit is all that I can describe it as. Like, this is for you because this is the desire of your heart. And it is way fancier than what I had pictured in my mind. And I absolutely love it. It just adds so much character to the garden and yard. It's just beautiful. And I am so thankful. And y'all are a part of that. You watching the videos and commenting and supporting me. It does contribute to those things. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And another thing that I want to share is I have shared this before. Well, let me jump to this one first. So the weed eater, we got a weed eater this year. It was on our list. We needed a new weed eater. A good quality weed eater can be a couple $100s. And, we had it like earmarked. Okay, well, we've got to, set aside money for this. And I got an email about a weed eater. I was like, okay, Lord, thank you. Because that's providing, things that we actually need and do use. Again, y'all are a part of that, so I thank you. And another thing, I've shared this story before, so just bear with me if you've heard it, is the sheds. The sheds were given to us for doing a video. And when we were preparing, for our house on the property, we need storage. Like any amount of storage that we could create would be beneficial because we don't have a garage. We have, just the normal tools and the extra kids' clothing, just all those things that you need a place to put them. And I was overwhelmed and stressed about it. I really was. I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? I was pricing those semi-containers. They used to be like $1,000. They are now like $3,000 or more. And so I was calling places and getting pricing. And then I was looking at other shed options. What can we do? And I was just frustrated, in the moment, like when you're trying to figure it out and it's like, how is this going to work out? I was like, you know what, Lord, you know what we need. And I was on my laptop, like researching different things. And I just shut my computer and I walked away. 2 days later, okay, this doesn't always happen this fast, but it did this time. 2 days later, I got an email asking to review the first shed that we got before we actually moved onto the property. I was like, thank you, Lord. And that ended up being such a huge blessing. So we had one shed and we made it work. I mean, we definitely made that shed work. As far as for the amount of stuff that we had to the space that we had for storage, right? So then fast forward to Christmas time, I had actually reached out to the company again. By chance, would they want to work with me? I don't reach out to a lot of companies, but I say Christmas time because all of my Christmas decorations actually were in storage at my stepdad's house. he had them there, storing them for us. And we very much could have probably still stored them there. But it was Christmas time, so we needed to decorate and bring, you know, our stuff here. And it would just be more convenient to store it, you know, at our house. And so I'd reached out to them, and they said that they could send me something else. I was like, okay, thank you. And they ended up emailing me back. I was like, actually, we do have a collaboration opportunity for the plastic kick-it shed. I was like, thank you, Lord. So I just share those things to know, so that y'all know it really does bless our family. So the plastic kick-it shed is our holiday decor storage. The metal one is like our garage stuff. They very much are huge blessings to us. And again, y'all are a part of that. So I do thank you for your support. I understand it can be a lot. But it's just the way that it worked out too, because some things had to wait to be reviewed. And then anyways, they were just really good opportunities too for us. Okay, so I had to explain that. So the next one is, hi, Jessica. You may have already said this sometime in the past, but are you planning on having any more children? So yes, I am. I saw a comment underneath this. She has asked this in every Q&A video, and I am, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, when you have a big family, and actually people in my real life ask me, so are y'all gonna have any more kids? Because Camden is now, he will be 4 at the end of September. This is our longest gap of not adding a baby to our family. I am 41. So I will answer it this way. We are content with where we are at, but if the Lord happened to bless us with another baby, we would be thrilled. So it's been a different season. I've enjoyed I don't want to say not being pregnant, because I really do enjoy being pregnant, but I've enjoyed this season of the kids growing up and, you know, being able to go off more with them. You know, when you have a newborn, like, I'll stay home more, especially if I'm nursing, just because that takes a lot of time. And you're more tired because you're up in the middle of the night with a baby. But I also very much miss the newborn snuggles and cuddles. Like, there's just so much beauty in that season too. But I'm also in a different season of having older teenagers too. So that's how I'll answer it, is we are open to whatever the Lord has for us. Okay, so Jamie says, first, I want to say that you've done a good job decorating and putting together your home. Thank you so much. You are so sweet. I have really had a lot of fun decorating and, you know, just making it work for us, and still moving things and figuring things out. You know, it takes time to do those things. Okay, so her question is, have I ever had a child that wanted to go to school? No names. She's just curious. So yes, we actually have. My older girls did not really want to go to school. They never really asked. And then I say Jackson kind of went through a season of saying it, but we lived close to a school that several of his friends went to. And I know that's why he was asking. We did kind of look into it, but we ultimately obviously decided to still homeschool. So we've looked into it over the years. I mean, we very much have, especially whenever I'm overwhelmed and I'm like, I don't know, maybe we should send them to school. Then I would say Logan has probably been the most who has asked. And again, for various reasons, we have decided to still homeschool. At the end of the day, anybody who has asked, their reason is for friends. And it's, I think, just so that they can see them every day. We are, you know, have always been a part of a co-op. We're very involved in our church. We have friends outside of church that we get together with. So if they're saying things like that, I just try to be a little more proactive and do more things with their friends. I do think that the new co-op is really going to help with that too. But when they really sit and think about it and they're like, they'd be gone all day, they don't like the sound of that. So I think it's easy to see the glorious vision of like being sent to school, but when they think about the practicality and the real life of it with the extra homework and all of that, they end up kind of changing their minds. Okay, I was rereading the same question, I'm sorry. Okay, so down. So how do you feel having big kids now graduating and moving on to the next stages of life? Is it an adjustment for you, or are you still just as busy with other littles? So actually, it's kind of both. It has been a huge adjustment. And I have felt very sad. The kids are growing up, and while it's wonderful seeing them blossom and grow and going off with their friends, you know, they're doing things that teenagers should be doing, going and having fun and hanging out with their friends and, you know, just going to the beach, all those things. But it is also, it's different because now often it is Logan and under. So I often have just 6 kids with me, because for me, it wasn't just 1 or 2 that are now, you know, like older teenagers. I was going to say grown, but older teenagers and going and doing things, because actually our 5 oldest, Taylor, Addison, Payton, Jackson, and Miley, are all very close and very active in the youth group. And so they do a lot of those things together. So the 5 of them will go to the event together. So then, like I said, I have the 6 youngest at home. So it's been 5 leaving versus 1 or 2. So that has been hard. Miley is very close with her older sisters, so she's often with them, which is good, but it's also sad. So I've been trying to create like more family days and let's do these things, but it's also, yeah. With that said, I am still very busy and doing all the things with the younger kids. It's just a different dynamic. And it's silly little things like the seating in the van, okay? So we have to have different assigned seats when the older kids are with us and when they're not. You know, like it's silly little things that I didn't think of. I was like, okay, well, you know, we have to think about this. So I am still busy with the little kids, but I miss them, my older kids. And then sometimes I'm just like, well, this is what we were doing today and y'all are coming along because mama needs you. I need you with me right now. So I don't see the name on this one. Where is it? Deb A. First, she left me a very sweet comment. Thank you so much. You are so kind. She's just saying about, I had said something about negative comments in a video, and she's just being encouraging, which it happens. There are negative comments. And most of the time, honestly, I just delete and move on. I don't really address them because it's not worth my energy, because I am taking care of our family, like family and, you know, my husband and my kids first, then I have time for, you know, other stuff. And any negative thing, well, it just takes up your time. It takes up your thought life. And I have just learned to delete and move on because it's not worth me sacrificing that time with my family to focus on this negative stuff. Okay. With that said, I'm not perfect with it. But it really does amaze me, like, what are they called? Keyboard warriors. It's easy to say something when you're typing it instead of somebody's face. I think people just don't necessarily realize that it's a real person here with a real family, real struggles, you know, day to day of just, you know, running a household and all the things that need to get accomplished. And so it's easy to say, well, I don't like that, or you should do this or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I can only do what I can do with the resources and time that we have. Okay, so my question is, what other plans do you have for your land? Any plans for more animals or more outbuildings? So first, I just want to thank you again for your kind comments. So plans for the land, all the things. I'm sure that it will transpire over the years too. Like, I do really want, we do want more animals. We actually do have a new one. And I don't know, I think the vlog will come out before this one, I think. So should I just say it? I should just say it. We actually got a mini horse. It was an opportunity. A friend of ours is downsizing and offered us, Strawberry is his name. And he is so sweet and we love him. We have, you know, our chickens. I do, like, one of my like dream animals would be a donkey. And now that we have Strawberry, I feel like the donkey needs to go higher on the list because Strawberry needs a friend. I was saying this to Nathan last night and he's just shaking his head. Actually, he saw a mini horse for sale. A lot of people were commenting on it though, so he didn't try. And he's telling me this and I'm like, dude, get another mini horse, please. I will love it the day that Nathan brings home an animal. That will be amazing. He's going to at some point. I just know it. Okay, so honestly, I don't want to just frivolously get animals because they take care and there's maintenance that goes to it. I'm not saying all that in jest as in joking. Those are more like dreams, but we do need to be prepared for those animals in the practical sense, So getting Strawberry definitely wasn't like on our list of things, but it was an opportunity that I felt like we should take. So anyways, we do want to do a pig at some point. I would love to have a cow too, but again, practical. I don't know about a big animal as far as a cow. A pig, I feel like would be more doable, and goats and all of that. So again, we don't have like, this year we're doing goats. We don't have set plans like that. We are still trying to, establish things for the house. So that's where a lot of our focus is. But yes, we will have more animals, more outbuildings. Nathan really wants to build, we're calling it a lean-to. It's like a workshop covering area. The mini horse kind of derailed those plans. Sorry. We had to focus on doing the fence and all of that. So I do think that'll be the next thing. We've been talking about doing this for a while. I do think that will be the next thing. We want to do porches. So front porch and a side porch. The sitting pavilion was on that list too, but the gazebo blessed us, and so we don't have to do that. So definitely, but we don't have like anything like written out. I do know that the lean-to probably will be next though. Okay, so Heidi would like to know about my approach to homeschooling high school. I feel you are a very chill person and have a very organic approach towards homeschooling your younger kids. It seems like you stick to the basics and leave lots of room for exploration and play, as you should. That's so important. I've really tried to do the same, but have used rigorous curriculum and end up stressing us all out. Girl, I hear ya. I have one starting high school this year, so I'm curious what you have used in high school. How rigorous was it? And do you have any advice on preparing them for the rigors of college? So your observation is very true. I am more laid back in the things that I do. It's not out of really anything other than that's just who I am and how I just think of things. And I think also having many children, a lot of littles at once, it was out of a self-defense mode. You know what I mean? Like, I can't expect to have everything in its place all at once because there's a lot of people in this house and it's a lot of energy to like maintain. Does that make sense? Like making sure that all this is in this bin, this is in this bin. That is how honestly I would like things, but I've had to let some of those things go. So with homeschooling, kind of the same. Again, I've always been homeschooling. I say always, but 4 to 8 kids at a time, and I am pretty laid back with it. I do focus on the basics. So reading, writing, math, and then anything that the kids are interested in. So that can look very different. So I'll use Logan for example. He has been so interested in physics and science. So I get him books on those items. We watch videos on those items. I get him some STEM box kits, that he can learn these things and do these things. Because you don't just learn through reading out of a science textbook. I feel like you learn more by doing and seeing. At least I know I do. And even like what was that noise? That was a different kind of animal noise. The chickens have been really loud lately, sorry. So there it goes again. I feel like the kids just learn more because it's more hands-on. And I know I will never forget, I was going through a history curriculum with our oldest Taylor, and I was just like fascinated by some of the stuff that I was learning. And she was like, Mommy, you're learning too. And I was like, you know what, baby, you're right. I am. I have learned so much more as a homeschooling mom than I did whenever I was in school. And because school is very much textbook, you read from a book and like, this is the information. Now you need to memorize it. And it doesn't stick with you when you are presented the material in that way, in my opinion. So as far as a curriculum goes, so I am laid back. I focus on the basics, and everything else is what the kids are interested in. We will go through seasons of doing different unit studies and trying, different things and whatnot. But once you have those basics, obviously you can learn anything. So, okay, high school. We have primarily, so for Taylor, she used The Good and the Beautiful. If your child is a reader, it is a great curriculum. Taylor loved it. She did very well with it. Addison and Payton so Addison did Christian Light Education. Payton also did Christian Light Education. And then I also got her literature studies. So I tried to base it on how my kids learned. Taylor is a very heavy reader, could read anything. So The Good and the Beautiful worked really well for her. Jackson has been doing IEW. He just needed more of that solid instruction. And that has worked well for him. So that's my advice, is really think about how your child learns. And the other thing is, even in the public school system, they do not finish the curriculum. Okay? I'm going to step on some toes here. They don't. They do not finish the math book, the history books. And so don't stress yourself out. Learn together, do school. But if you can tell that it's just not working, take a break and maybe give him, I don't remember if it was a son or a daughter. Did you say son? Sorry. Give your child a good book to read and discuss it. Write a paper on it. Look up the time periods of it. I just think it just makes it more alive and for kids to retain the information. So as far as preparing them for college, the thing that I have seen, so our oldest has completed her first year of college. She is going back for this upcoming school year. Our second oldest has graduated. I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous, y'all. I was like, she has been homeschooled her whole life. How is she gonna do? It's gonna be different. And it was a challenge, but it was a good challenge. And she met that challenge. I think this upcoming year will be much easier for her. She kind of knows the expectation. And she will tell you, it definitely was challenging as far as the differences of being homeschooled and going to college. But she is also in a private Christian college too, so I think that made a huge difference versus just the community college, But if a child really wants to, let's just say, go into engineering, they will apply themselves to that area and learn the material that they need to learn to do what they want to do. And I feel like that's everything. So let's say we wanted to build a table. We are capable. It might take us a couple tries, but we are capable. We just have to apply ourselves. So that's kind of how I look at it. And Taylor has done that. Even she had a couple classes that were challenging. She had to drop a class because she was like, Mom, I just cannot do this right now. It's just not working. She is going to have to take it for her degree. And she recognized that. She was like, just now is not the time. And I was like, okay, I understand that. And I think she's going to do it this upcoming year. It worked for her. It was an online class. And she was like, I really need this class in person. And that was the main reason for her dropping it and wanting to do it differently, because she recognized that. I was like, okay, you do that. I fully support you. That makes sense. I think I would need it in person too. Just saying. Okay, so just remember, your child will be able, just support them and encourage them and help them. I can't even tell you how many nights we had late staying up with college homework. I was like, oh my goodness, it was a lot, but we did it. So just support them the best that you can. Okay, so the next question is Mary Travis. She has been a faithful follower for years. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. My one question is, how do you keep the heat out of your home without blinds? I live in North Carolina and our summers are scorching and you have to keep your blinds closed and the curtain. So I'm only asking because she's curious. So that's a really good question. I don't do anything. So even if we had blinds, and heavy curtains. One, I don't have heavy curtains for a reason. Two, I would open them up. It's what, do y'all just have a thing that like you have to do? Like if I'm gonna drink milk, it has to be in a glass. I don't like milk in a plastic cup, okay? The sunshine in the home is like that for me. Nathan makes fun of me. So not having blinds is actually intentional, kind of. I leave the front door open for the storm door because I love the sunshine in the house. Same thing, like I have the lighter curtains in the living room. We have thicker curtains in the bedrooms because of, just the sun in the morning and so we can sleep in a little bit. But as far as like not having blinds, one, the house didn't come with blinds. I had the thought, oh, we have to do blinds. But then we moved in and I was like, there's nobody around us. Why are we gonna have blinds? So in our bedrooms, like I said, we have the thicker curtains in the living room. It doesn't bother me. We have just like 3 neighbors around us. If they drive by and they see us in the living room, it doesn't bother me. So I just like the sunshine in. So I don't do anything as far as keeping the heat out. With that said, the house, I have not noticed, it heats and cools very well. I haven't noticed an issue as far as it just being way too hot in here or cold. Now, if you stand by the storm door, yeah, you feel heat, but I don't know, it just doesn't bother me. So I could maybe be a little more energy efficient if I did that, but I would not like it because the sunshine would not be in here. So I'm a little weird about it, honestly. I like having the windows open, the curtains open, so, and I like seeing outside whenever I'm inside, so that's why. So I have not noticed a huge difference. I will say our electric bill in the summer does go up, but I just think that's normal. And again, it's worth it to me because I like the sunshine. So like I said, I'm a little weird about it. I just don't like that feeling of everything being closed up. It doesn't feel natural to me. Okay, so y'all didn't know how weird I was, did you? So the next question is, I am curious how y'all afford to feed a large family on one income. What with grocery prices? She spends about $250 a week for their family of 4. What is your grocery budget? So our grocery budget is roughly $400 a week, and we spend what we have, if that makes sense. So if I need to trim it down some because it's a lower paycheck, I do, and it just always ends up managing and working out. I do make money on YouTube, and that helps supplement what Nathan makes. And I try to stick to that budget. So with that said, there are some things that I just do not buy. So we have never been, like, I don't buy a lot of drinks, with the exception of sweet tea. And that's because that's for Nathan. You know, like I have to have my coffee. He has to have his sweet tea. So for years I made it because it's cheaper to make it. And then we actually stopped having it in the house altogether because the kids were drinking it. And I didn't want them having, just access to sweet tea. But then it crept back in because Nathan really likes it. And he really likes Milo's sweet tea. So he buys that, and that's like the one drink that we have in the house. I share that as an example because drinks are expensive. So if you are buying a lot of drinks, so we do get milk, we'll get orange juice on occasion, but I don't really buy other juices. Sweet tea is really it, and that is primarily for Nathan. The kids will have it from time to time, but that's just a huge thing that saves on your grocery budget. So I just look at things like that, and then if I really need to stretch that budget, I will make a lot more things from scratch. The convenience items really do add up, and I buy them. Y'all see my grocery hauls? I buy them because I need the convenience. But if I really need to stretch that grocery budget, I won't purchase them, and we will make a lot of things. Groceries have majorly gone up. They really have a lot. There was something recently, I was like, oh my word, I just won't buy it. We can do without those things as long as we, have our basis for a meal. We're good. Everything else is just extra. So I'll use this for an example too. I really like the microwavable bacon at Sam's. During the really high grocery prices, it was like $17. And I was like, no. Like, really just look at what you are spending and what you can do without, okay? I can do without my microwavable bacon. It did finally go back down in price, so we bought it again here and there. But even Nathan said something when we were at Sam's. He's like, oh, do you want the bacon? I was like, no. Like, you also end up seeing what you really can live without. Most of the things are, luxury items. So we just won't, purchase those items and just make sure that we have our stuff for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, some snacks, and that is good. So I just try to stretch it the best that I can. We'll make things from scratch. But it can be a little overwhelming, whenever that bill is racking up. That is usually what we spend, is roughly $400 a week. And I think for our size family, a lot of people are kind of shocked by that. They think that it should be more. It works for us. We have plenty of food and plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables. And it's just what works. And that's kind of how I stretch things. Because that was actually another question later on, is how to stretch a grocery budget. So I kind of explained it there. Okay, so the next question is, she is a mom of 4, 5 on the way. So congratulations. That is so exciting. She wants to know, I guess, how to be more regulated emotionally for her kids while going through the trials of the first trimester. She says, I dream of having a big family, but feel I'm not already faithful to the kids that I have. I want to be more present and stable and have peace in my home. It just feels impossible. I rely on God, but often feel I'm just striving to be perfect, yet always failing. How do you manage and cope with the stress and chaos? I just want to see the fruit of the Spirit in our home and become more regulated so I can handle whatever the Lord puts before us. How do you make the time to connect with your kids and fill their tanks, but still find the time for all the house stuff? Okay, first, I hear you so much. I really do. I think every mom, no matter how many kids you have, we go through seasons of this. So if you have 1 or 2 kids, like, moms still will have these feelings. If you have 4 or 5, 10, 3, whatever the number is, okay? So first, I'm going to say give yourself some grace, because you are probably doing a whole lot better than what you think that you are. I've heard this said many times, is if you feel like you're not being a good enough mom, you probably are a great mom, because you care. You care what you are putting into your family, and that is huge, right? As far as you feel the need to be perfect, that is something, and that you're always failing. That is something that I would say to let go of, because you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. If you are doing the best that you can every day, that is all that is needed for our kids. If you are loving on them and being there with them, which it sounds like you are, and let's say you have, how many baskets of laundry do I have to fold right now? I think I have 2 that need to be folded. So if I have spent time with my kids, and it can be, as I want to say, as simple as holding them and hugging them, and just looking at them and saying, I love you, and listening to the things that they want to tell you, and you still have piles of laundry, then I say that that is a successful day, because the laundry can wait, right? Sometimes, until we're out of underwear. We get there often. Laundry is where I really, really faulty. And every week I'm like, I'm going to do this. I don't. It's okay. It's okay. Just be there. Listen to them. Excuse me. I would also say, take care of yourself. So what can you do every day that can just help you feel a little bit better? So making sure that you're drinking water, enough water, taking supplements, eating well, getting the amount of sleep that you need. Maybe it's filling yourself up by reading a devotional or something like that. Also having a schedule, especially if you only have little kids, and following that schedule as far as like nap time. Use that nap time to rest and do something for yourself, versus I was really bad at this whenever our older kids were babies. Like I wanted to use that nap time to let me clean and get all this stuff done. All of that can wait, okay? like sitting and resting during that nap time was more beneficial to me. So I take a supplement, it's spirulina, and it helps me so much. I'm not great at drinking water, but I am trying because I notice a difference. So just things like that can help. I'm trying to make sure that I didn't miss over any other. So question. So the other thing that I would say is find one area. Choose one area that you can focus on. So I'll use laundry again as an example. I'm going to choose laundry, and I'm just going to focus on trying to keep that up. Okay. And then after that is like more of a routine, then choose another area and try to keep that up. But again, like focus on your babies because they are only so little for so long, and just enjoy them. I very much with every baby that we added felt overwhelmed. How am I going to add another baby? How am I going to do this? I am overwhelmed with the kids that I have and this and that. But the truth is the Lord always makes it work out, from budget, from our capacity, our time, you know, what we get done in a day. You know, like after having, you know, one baby, you think, how can I love another baby as much as I love, you know, my first baby? And the truth is your love grows. So your capacity grows over time too. I think you just also naturally learn what's important. My eyes are watering, I'm so sorry. Naturally what's important and what's not. So that would be my advice. Definitely give yourself some grace, and congratulations. Just sit down on the floor with your babies, enjoy them. Everything else will work itself out. I'm also talking to myself here because I get overwhelmed too, very much so. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Okay, sorry, I needed some water. So the next question is, how do you handle stress? Any tips and tricks on how to stay calm when children are driving you a little, and it's cut off, and I don't know if it's from me, you know, printing it, or if the comment itself was cut off, but I'm assuming driving you a little crazy. Okay, so, I think honestly, all of the things that I have already said is making sure that you're taking care of yourself. I can tell whenever I'm not taking my supplements, it definitely affects my mood and like my capacity for things. So in a stressful situation, I try to take a deep breath and be like, okay, what is the first thing that I need to focus on here? Okay, it's this. Let's handle this. Then I can move on to the next thing, the next. Okay. As far as like the kids driving you a little bit, kids can get rowdy. Okay. Very much so. And it can be a lot at times. So I try to refocus that energy and let's go outside, especially if it's inside. They can be loud outside, right? That doesn't bother me. But it can be a lot. If the kids are all kind of going at it, I will separate them. Okay, it is time that we all have a break, including me. So somebody can sit out here on the couch with some books. Somebody can go in the schoolroom with some books. Somebody can go outside. Somebody can go in their room, all of that. I will say whenever I was going through a really hard season, I kind of had scheduled breaks myself. And the kids could read or draw during that time or watch a show. I mean, because I needed that time to fill myself up. So I went to my room. This was during nap time so that the littles were asleep. And so these were more, you know, my middle kids and older kids. They could do what they could quietly. And I went to my room. I said, you just need to give mom 30 minutes. No interruptions, unless obviously it's an emergency, and that really helped. So, you know, there's just different seasons, finding different things. I wouldn't say I always stay calm at all. I definitely, but I think trying to just take a deep breath and thinking and processing and not reacting is wise. I'm not perfect with it. I do try because the kids, you know, are important as far as their feelings and what is happening to them, with them, and all of that. So it is definitely probably one of the harder parts of parenting because a lot can happen in a day. Like something falling and breaking, you know, now you're dealing with a thing broke and there's mess, especially if it's glass, and these things happen. And I just always try to remember that my children are more important as far as like how I'm dealing with whatever's chaos is happening. Does that make sense? Like the focus needs to be on their needs and what they need in that moment. Okay, so Mrs. Alma, thank you so much, Miss Alma, for leaving your question. So she left a bunch of different questions, like what you would ask someone if you would prefer this or this. But I thought that I would just answer one of those, and that is if, I forget how it was worded. Basically, what your prom dress was like. So I have 2 prom dresses. I went to my junior and senior prom. I actually went with Nathan. And my junior prom dress is what I'll tell you about. Addison actually wore it to her prom this past year, and that was so special. And I'm not gonna lie, I like had these fears of it just deteriorating because of it being so old, but it didn't. Praise the Lord. I kept having her wear it around the house. I didn't want to scare her. I was like, just wear it around. Let's see what happens. But it actually was one shoulder strap, a little more form-fitting. It was a navy blue, and it, you know, it was kind of like mermaid shape, I guess. It flowed out a little bit, but form-fitting, and it had sparkles all over it. Not like gems on top of it, but like over it and throughout it. I thought it was really pretty. And the fact that Addison wanted to wear it was just extra special. Okay, so the next question is, do you plan to can any of your produce or do you freeze veggies? Also, what are your thoughts on the kids dating? Okay, so as far as like canning and all of that, yes, I will definitely can anything extra that we have. Most of the garden is for fresh eating. Like we eat it as it comes in. I was super hopeful to have plenty of tomatoes to make salsa and can it and spaghetti sauce and can it. Tomatoes did rough this year. We have it for fresh eating, but not as far as preserving. I kept getting wilt in all of my plants and it was horrible. I do have my hay bale tomatoes finally took off and they are looking good. So I'm hoping because every other tomato plant has pretty much died off. Well, no, I do have some in that center area. Anyways, just wilt got so bad, and I've never experienced wilt before, but from what I've talked with other people who garden, they have had the same issue. So I don't know, like, let me know if y'all are experiencing that as well. It's very disheartening. But cucumbers, I've never had so many cucumbers, and I've made pickles a couple times, but again, fresh eating. And I also really enjoy giving the extra produce away too. So I do want to work up to, you know, whenever we expand the garden each year, that I do have enough to can and preserve, and also learn. I'm going to go to, we have a produce place that sells it in bulk. I'm going to get some and just can from that. So also kids and dating. So we have not had a experience with this yet. So far, nobody is dating, but I believe that I would like group dating. Now our older teenagers like Addison and Taylor are older. Addison will be 18, Taylor's turning 19. So I think that, you know, makes a bit of a difference because they're a little bit older, but I just encourage them to group date, and same even like with our other kids that are kind of coming up to that age. But so far there hasn't been any, but that's what we would just say is we would prefer for y'all to stay in groups, and have them over, get to know them, get to know their families, is how we will approach that. Okay, so the next question is, how do you stay fit? Well, thank you. I don't think I'm super fit. I did actually do a weight loss challenge with some friends from church from March to May, and I lost 11 pounds. And I think I've gained a few of those back. I've been avoiding the scale a little bit. And that was actually really encouraging and helpful. So teaming up with a friend and just encouraging each other to, you know, move your body, get out and walk. So I was doing a lot of that. So I was doing, what I will do is intermittent fasting and stop eating at 7. And I also cut out like all the junk food. I was just trying to focus on whole foods, but I would have a treat every now and then because, like I shared in a previous video, I really like these Rice Crisps, the Quaker Oats little rice cake chips. So I would allow myself to have snacks. I really just prefer fruits and vegetables. I like some junk food too, don't get me wrong, but I feel better whenever I'm eating cleaner versus a lot of processed and a lot of junky food, you know? And I've got to focus on that so that I have energy to keep up with all these kids. And I also think I don't sit very long. You know, I'm constantly doing something, and I think that helps. Like, I'm constantly moving. And that just kind of helps keep your body moving and feeling better. So then the next question is, what are your cell phone rules with teenagers? What age do they get them in time limits? Social media. So we did not give our kids cell phones until they were 15. So like Jackson just got his phone. We do have time limits. It's programmed on his phone, and I honestly don't remember what it is. The older girls, well, not all of them, Addison chooses not to have any social media. So a lot of it honestly is like, if we see that a kid is too much on their phone, I'm like, okay, it is time that we really pull this back. And so we come up with different rules for them. So we don't like have a blanket rule for everybody. It's more individual. Texting is a big thing though. That's how they communicate with their friends. So texting, I feel like, is a little bit different. It's as if you're talking on the phone now. So they can text, but the other stuff definitely has time limits. And we just try to monitor it the best that we can. Like, I think Jackson's time limit is an hour. I'm pretty sure is what it is. But then like Taylor's 18. Well, almost 19. Addison kind of chooses for herself, and it's not an issue. And then the other kids, we just tell them, okay, it's time to put this away, and we will keep it in our room at night, and then they can have it after school is done the next day. Okay, so then the next question is from Ryan M. Which of the 2 e-bikes and 2 cars that you previously advertised do you still have? What updates have you made to the gazebo that you advertised? I said that I was planning on adding more lights and whatnot. Okay, so the 2 e-bikes, actually, well, one of them literally just broke, but Nathan's gonna fix it. Like, it's fixable. I can't even remember what's the matter with it. It's the tire, that's what it is. We just have to replace the tire. The kids love them. The orange one is great. So we call them the orange one and the red one. The orange one is the bigger one by Homeschool, I believe, and it has worked fabulously. The red one has worked, that's by these names, I can't, Tuitto, Tuitto. Again, works great. We just have to replace the tire on it. So we still have them. The kids use them every single day. The 2 cars still work too, and the kids, they're not using them as much. Charging things are a harder maintenance as far as those little cars go. But they definitely work very well, and the kids love them. I have not made any updates to the gazebo. I had planned on, whenever we did the sitting pavilion, like making it super whimsy and adding some stuff on the outside, but that gazebo is just so nice. I haven't done anything to it. I haven't bought any lights or anything either. I had thought about adding, I have this, I'm trying to think if it has a dinger inside of it. I have the brass bell that was my grandpa's. I had planned on putting on my sitting pavilion. I don't think I'm gonna put it there. The posts are different too, and so the brass bell, I need to find it and see. So I think I might just put it on a post in the ground instead. So I haven't done anything because I just honestly really like it. So the next question is, you've mentioned your dreams coming true and prayers answered. Can you give a piece of advice for those struggling on the waiting? This is so hard. Anything that we go through that we are waiting on the Lord, so health, infertility, a job, a house, relationships, all of those things are just so hard. And y'all know, I mean, we went through a very hard time, and I just really had to seek the Lord. I mean, every single day, sometimes just every moment. And I came across, actually a friend shared it with me because she thought of me because she knew I was going through a hard time. Elizabeth Elliott's podcast were amazing. And it was like listening to a spirit-filled grandma. It just helped me so, so much. And I shared that because her advice was, when you're in a hard season, do the next right thing. So I actually shared this in a vlog recently because it's so true. So it's like we can get so fixated on whatever it is that we are facing, right? And there's only so much that we can do. While we shouldn't have idle hands, like we need to do what we can do. Sometimes we reach a point to where we can kind of become like too focused on it. So doing the next right thing is helpful. Sometimes the next right thing is doing the dishes, folding a basket of laundry, loving our children, loving our husband, and just doing the next right thing in front of us. And that really helps because like after the next right thing, then you just do the next right thing. And that really helps you get through a hard season. Obviously prayer. I think filling yourself up with the word, worship music. Like I went through this season where I fell asleep to worship music because that's when like my brain could start going and spiraling, is whenever I'm trying to go to sleep. So if I played worship music, I could focus on that. And that really helped too. With that said, the word tells us that the Lord will work all things out to good for those that serve him. And while it might not be the way that we wanted, the way that we thought, he does turn all things to good. And whatever is happening, sometimes it's a pruning of things in your life that aren't beneficial or that aren't serving you well, or for whatever reason that the Lord does not have for you. It is not easy. It is very hard. But knowing at the end of the day that God is good and that he uses things, circumstances, all things. It doesn't say some things. The word says that he uses all things for the good. And just remembering that and knowing the truth helps. And some seasons are long, some seasons are short. And just keeping your focus on the Lord. Maybe find a good confident counseling that can help you is also very beneficial. Okay, so that just makes me want to cry because it is so hard when we are in the season of waiting, especially if other people around you might have the thing that you are waiting for. But just know that the Lord has a purpose for those things, and if you feel your mind wandering, just bring it back to the word, bring it back to worship is what will help you get through that. Okay, I feel like that's deep, and then moving to the next question. Okay, can you give us a mobile home update? How are things holding up and living through God's natural storms? Is the home cool in the summer and warm in the winter? Thanks. So yeah, everything is honestly, great. We have had no issues. We did have a leak, but the repair people fixed it. It was still under warranty, so I call that a huge win. As far as storms, we haven't had any issues at all. As far as heating and cooling goes, I shared that about the blinds. Again, no issues whatsoever. The only thing that I could say is like the paper on the walls. So it is sheetrock, but it just has like a paper wallpaper over it. That does not clean well. And whenever I have wiped it, some of the paper has gone off. I really don't like that. That would be my biggest complaint. And I did complain to the company. They did replace a few pieces of sheetrock for me. So we had talked about just redoing the sheetrock. I think we might try mudding and sanding and painting first, and then seeing if we need to replace the sheetrock. And that would be like room by room. But I do want to shiplap in the living area, kitchen, and hallway, in my room, in the bathrooms. And I think that would help too. And that might just happen sooner. I was hoping to do it this summer, but we haven't yet. So we will just have to like bump things up on the priority list for that. But overall, everything else is perfectly fine. We've had no issues at all, really. So very thankful. Okay, so I'm almost out of time. So there's a couple questions that are the same. Like, what is the most challenging age to parent, and what have been unexpected challenges for raising teenagers? Do I have any advice? So the biggest thing I feel like is just loving them and meeting them where they are as far as their interests and things that they want to do. Just being involved with the things that they like. We really haven't had too big of an issue as far as, you know, they say teenagers and hormones and attitudes. And if that happens, I mean, we kind of just like remind them, hey, like, that's disrespectful. You really need to change the way that you're talking. And they do. I mean, I get hormonal too and end up sometimes having a sharp answer. So I think just also remembering that they are human and learning just like myself, and giving them grace. I think it just goes a long way. So we haven't experienced too big of like the teenage issues. I will say maybe the biggest thing that we are having a challenge with is kids doing their chores, but then there's a consequence to that. So it's like you're wanting to go do these things, which is great. I want you to go and have fun, but you need to contribute to our family, is how we word it. And if they choose not to, then they don't get to go and do what they want to do. And that is not an easy thing to do. That is actually really hard for me to do. But the follow through is important as well. So that, I think I got those. Another person asked about our kids going to school. So I did answer that. How do you discipline your kids? Do you believe in timeouts or spanking or what? So we mostly do timeouts. That helps a lot. And that's more if the kids get to fighting, or we will do an extra chore. So say kids aren't listening or whatever, like with their regular chores, I'm like, okay, well now you have to, since you didn't do your regular chore, you now have to help fold towels too, or something like that. And that really works really good, extra chores, because kids want to go play. They don't want to spend their time doing chores. So everybody has a chore. We have a chore routine, a chore schedule. And if the kids aren't doing them, then they get an extra chore. So, and that helps a lot. And mostly the timeouts are for the younger kids. So especially like if they end up hitting a sibling or something like that, or are being not nice to their siblings, they'll have to do a timeout for a little bit. So this is a really good question. How do you handle modesty with your kids? For example, do you let them wear leggings and a sports bra to the gym or the park? So I believe modesty starts from a very young age, like from the very beginning. And I also believe it's with an example. So I tend to dress modest. I prefer that. I'm more comfortable. And my girls and even my boys all have just naturally been modest. And I don't know if it's just because that's how I've always treated it, but I haven't had anybody really trying to wear anything that I didn't agree with. Now, with that said, there are some exceptions. Some shorts I might not really agree with, but I also think, like, is this a battle? Like, this is an area, they're still covered up. It's not like fingertip length, you know what I mean? They're cute. So some things I can let go a little bit so that it's not so strict, so that the kids like rebel. It's just a balance. And so far, like I said, my kids, especially my girls, have mostly chosen modest, with the exception of some shorts. I would disagree with it. And I have definitely said, like, they have walked out and I'm like, no ma'am, you cannot wear that out with the shorts. And that's it. And they've been respectful, and they're like, okay. I'm like, you have grown and those shorts are too short now. So there's just a balance. But I don't think I would let them just wear a sports bra out to the park, because I also think that you just attract certain attention that you don't necessarily want either. And I've just explained that to them. There was a time where a couple of the girls wanted to wear like the 2-piece bathing suit, not my teenagers, like the little kid 2 pieces. And I've just told them, I just think it's best to be covered up. So we do tankinis, and stuff like that. So I think I just talk to them and explain things, and it's really just not like they understand. Okay, so then the last question is, what is your dream about your property? I think I mentioned it in a video about the dream, and I've shared, over the time. So honestly, enjoy the property that the Lord has blessed us with, and have other people over and enjoy it. But as far as like with the garden, I really enjoy giving away the extra produce and eggs. So not necessarily like to earn money, but if I have an abundance of produce, or friends are over, go pick some stuff from the garden and take it home. I just really enjoy that. I would love to have like a farm stand, but where we're at, it just wouldn't work well. We're too far back, not a lot of traffic, but that doesn't mean that I can't think outside the box and come up with something. But for now, it's just blessing friends and family with the extra produce that we have and flowers. I would love to have a you pick flower. I have a hard time like charging for things. I just want to give things away. But it does cost money to do these things too. So some friends have given money for eggs or whatever, and I'm like, no, you just keep it. It is totally fine. They're like, this will help, with the feed cost or whatever. But I would much rather like trade services than money. So I think just being there for people. If I had a friend who lived in an apartment and really wanted to garden, come out and use our land. I just think that there is beauty in that community, and just building relationship, just sharing that. I actually have a really good friend who also gardens, and we have swapped plants and seeds and produce and flowers, and it's just so fun. And I just think that there's a connection there with that friendship. So, and the same thing with our kids' friends too. They love coming out and picking out of the garden, just eating, because that just isn't how not very many people live like that. And being able to go out and pick a fresh green bean and just eating it. There's just something about, and a tomato, all the veggies. There's just something about that, and just sharing that with people. So I just enjoy that. And honestly, once we get, more animals, then sharing those with friends and family. We have the miniature horse now, and what little kid would not love coming and seeing a pony, and being able to ride a pony. So just being able to share that with friends and family just brings me so much joy. Okay, so what projects and updates do you have planned for the house? So we don't have anything set. We need to do the lean-to. I was hoping that we would have already done the porch, but again, we did the fence. It is so hot out right now. And I did tell Nathan, what if we did something fun for the kids outside before we did the porch? So we might do that. We don't have anything set planned. I really do want to shiplap soon, and I'm hoping that we get to that. But y'all, life is so busy. Like, Nathan works 40 plus hours a week. And before we know it, it's like a month can go by, and we don't necessarily get the projects done. And we're about to hit soccer season too. So we're gonna have 4 kids playing soccer, and that means 4 practices a week and games. So, our focus is on our family, but we will get to all the house stuff. So we don't have anything set planned at the moment. I do want to backsplash the kitchen too, and I want to do that myself. And I was like watching videos, and then I ended up talking to my friend Corey about it. She's like, oh, Jessica, I know how to do that. I was like, yay. So we might have like a tile party here soon. But just I'm more of a fly by the seat of my pants type of person, in case you haven't noticed. And it's like, oh, I want to do this. Let's do it. I feel like whenever I plan things, it never goes well. So it's more like I wake up one day and I'm like, let's do this. Or we'll plan a week or 2 ahead. Hey, Nathan, can we start shiplapping next weekend and start getting the supplies and stuff like that? So that's just kind of how we do things. It works for us. That's all I can say. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope that you all are doing well. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, asking the questions, and we will see y'all in the next video. Bye.